What is going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of 4th&15 with Mel and Smooth, brought to you by the new 216 Sports Network. I am Mel, and joining me as always is Ronnie Big Smooth Finnegan. Smooth, what's up, man?
Not a whole lot, Mel. Weekends come and go, brother. So it's been
Man,
a
don't
long one,
don't
but I'm
remind me.
excited to get. Trust
Don't
me, I
remind me.
understand, man. But I'm excited to, dive into our topics and to learn more from our guest today, man. This is a really cool opportunity.
Cool. All right, before we get into that, our episode has been brought to you in part by Box Bands. Strength through resistance. Resistance is key if you are a fighter or just want to get back into shape. Box Bands is where it's at. Uh, I'm not gonna do the other sponsor because that's I'm gonna save that one. But if you ain't noticed, I am rocking a Cleveland Crunch, I guess Gator face covering, and the reason for that is our guest today is one of the most exciting players of the new look Cleveland Crunch. He's also the master of the wall flip, and I am talking about McCain, Big Mac Spragling. McCain, how you doing, bro?
Yes, sir. I'm doing good, Mel. How you doing, Smooth? It's good to be here.
Hey, it's good to have you, bro. We are very, very, very pleased, man, to have you on the show. This is an awesome opportunity, like I said before, man. So thanks
Mm-hmm.
for coming.
100%. I wouldn't miss.
All right. So before we hit you with the Bob Costas, take us through humble beginnings. Your upbringing. What was it like for you? How did you even get into soccer? Let's go through that story.
Okay. So, before I get into how I got into soccer, I'll give you a little, background on me. Um, so I'm born and raised in Akron, Ohio. Not too far from Cleveland, but right around the corner. Um, I was raised by majority my mother. I had my father was always in my life, but he was taken away for a little bit of time, and that's kind of what I grew up, you know, dealing with that. Having a single, um, having to go visit my father to see him a lot. So that was pretty much what growing up was like for me. Um, Now, getting into soccer was a very interesting story because, in Akron, you don't really have a lot of, black soccer players, so to be from Akron and be playing soccer was kind of a big thing from the hometown, but, so my mother actually left me with my godmom. She was watching me, babysitting me, and she was like, what can I do with him that's different? I don't want to take him to boxing. I don't want to take him to basketball or football. That's what everyone does. So she actually took me to the YMCA, and they had like a soccer after school program or something like that. And I actually fell in love with soccer, and I took the soccer ball from the YMCA and took it home. I wasn't supposed to, but at the time I'm 4 years old, so like that's kind of what got me into soccer, and I just never looked back from then.
Cool. Um, I wanted to ask this because this was not a lot of players get to tell their story the right way.
Right.
So we wanted to make sure that, if anybody's ever saw you in person or met you, you have that Akron aura,
100%.
you know. And from there, I'd like to know how does soccer work for you going forward? High school,
Okay.
college,
Okay.
and what was the experience like for you just to play soccer in Akron?
hmm So going forward, my mother actually moved me to Cleveland right around the time my father was taken away to kind of get us away from everything. So at the time, we moved to Cleveland, and I was still like in love with soccer, but it wasn't how it was like when I got around like middle school, high school. So I was playing for the East Side Kickers on the East Side, and I kind of stood out. compared to a lot of the other players. So when we would play against good teams, they would be like, "Well, why isn't this kid on our team?" Basically, you know. But at the same time, most of those teams, it was very expensive to play on. And
Mm-hmm.
my mother she was going through. It was kind of hard for us to bounce back and be able to pay for those expenses. So
Right.
actually, the Cleveland International. Uh, I plan on getting a tattoo of them at some point in my life. Because they kind of changed my life a lot. As far as me wanting to be in Akron all the time around a lot of things that could potentially not make me be here now. I always had practice with internationals, or I always had tournaments, and I always was playing. So I owe a lot to them for changing my life at that time. But yeah, so we played against the internationals, and they kind of got my background. And Louis Nanchoff was actually the guy who took me upon his wing, like after explaining to him what my father was going through, like he kind of was a father figure for me during that time. So I really didn't have to pay for any expenses at all for the club, because that's a big club in Ohio.
Yeah.
But kind of how I got into like the seriousness of soccer, and as the more I was traveling and like we were seeing people were very interested. That's kind of like what I took upon myself to take it serious. Like that's what I wanted to do. Like anything I ever wanted to do had to involve soccer in any type of way. Like if that makes sense. Um,
Right.
Middle school, I played with internationals. I played for Memorial Junior High School, but they weren't a big soccer school. South Euclid wasn't a big soccer area. And after middle school, I ended up going to Brush. Now, I honestly had opportunities to go to other schools, but I kind of was like, I wouldn't really put my pride away. I wanted to go to a school where I wasn't the best player at, where I could stand out. So, I talked to my mom about this, and we ended up choosing to go to Brush. So, I was at Brush High School where I finished and I graduated from, and throughout Brush, I had a lot of colleges that reached out to me, but at the time, I still didn't know this is what I was gonna do. After
Mm-hmm.
school. So that's pretty much how that happened. College was just um, Syracuse was my main goal. I ended up in Syracuse, but things didn't go as I wanted it to go, and I ended up transferring and going to Cortland State, which I think was the best thing that happened to me as well because I'm still playing after.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So for me going leaving there to go to a Division 3 school, you know, as a high school kid or even in the beginning of college, if you don't go D1, you're not gonna make it. You were in that kind of state, So luckily um, I ran into the right people a few times, and I was doing combines and things like that. Um, that's pretty much what got me to play after college. But I'm sure you'll ask me about indoor a little bit later, but I'll leave it at that for now.
I'm glad that you
Actually,
mentioned that
that's
because
go ahead, right?
no, you good. I'm glad you mentioned it because the thing is, like, even with us, having that experience from like, football background and whatnot, and us being, former players, and that same thing, I feel like is just a stigma across all sports, because you figure whether it's like you said, soccer, then football we mentioned in there. I'm sure people who hoop full time or someone that is involved with like baseball stuff like that are all thinking the same thing.
Right.
Big program, big exposure. But the thing is, and I guess the blessing in disguise is that there's so many other people that are trying to get to that same level or
100.
to that same type of school or whatever the program is, right? And the issue with that is everyone thinks that they're the best when they may not be. There's always going to be that one person that's better. It's just how it is.
Right.
Whether it's something that's, in a sport or just everyday life, there's always that one person. And I think that's something that I know me personally, and, Mel has his own experience too. It's just that you probably think like, this is the route I have to go. This is how I got to get, noticed. And you don't want a situation where you go to a school that large and then you're not even out there playing, or you're barely being utilized and no one can really see what you do.
Mm-hmm.
And then you, like you said, you go to a D2 or D3, and next thing you know, you're like, okay, I'm one of those top guys here. I'm gonna ball out and show what I can do, and then my game will speak for itself. But the difference is, there's a situation that may happen where you get put there, right? And you're like, what am I gonna do? I'm just gonna play because I love the sport, and then we'll go from there. Then also you have different situations where maybe someone's telling you, hey man, don't matter where you go. But then there's a lot of guys like us that came from the inner city. You don't really have anyone in your ear telling you that, like, doesn't matter where you're at. Just ball out, do what you're supposed to do, show that you love it, go for it. You know what I mean? A lot of us didn't have that. So I wanted to point that out because that's a very good point that you put out there, man. The fact that you were going for like a D1 and you went to a D3, nothing wrong with that. And I want people that see this or hear it to know there is nothing wrong with that. There is nothing wrong with that because in your case, you're still playing. And there's cats out here that may have went to that D1 or D2 school that's not playing at all, wishing they was in your position. So hats off to you, man. Seriously.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, I also have to ask, being in college as a soccer player, because we know the experience with sports differs from sport to sport when you're in college. So what was the biggest takeaway from your experiences playing soccer as opposed to you possibly playing basketball or football or, running track?
Wow. That's a good question. For me, I would just say, it really varies, really, honestly, because I kind of, once I got to Cortland, I knew no matter what happened afterwards, I was going to play somehow. So for me, okay, I played basketball in high school, and I played it growing up. For me, the difference was I wasn't really taught how to be a man outside of playing. Everything was pretty much about, winning and, like things like that. But for soccer, on the other hand, pretty much any team I played on, the coach did his part. Maybe it was just the coaches. I don't know if that's that, but I would say that was a big difference for me. Everything wasn't just about soccer. It was about the outside world or anything else. Like, this is do certain things. And for me, that stood out because my father, he was in my life, but he wasn't always there. You know what I'm saying? Like, that was just a big difference for me, I think, between the sports. I can't really speak on a lot of other sports, but pretty much that was it,
Cool. Now we get to the good stuff.
Oh yeah.
The crunch.
Yes, sir.
Now, I didn't realize it until they made the announcement at the press conference, but because you and well, actually just you were the most you stood out the most at the press conference just by the way you dressed. Had on your baseball cap, the leather jacket, the big, it wasn't really, really big, but the big chain. I was like, okay, he must be part of the front office. And then they said McCain Spragling is one of our players. I said, wait, what? That guy? Damn, what are they paying y'all?
Oh my, that is
because that's really what I asked. I asked the George Offerman, the original owner of the Crunch. I asked him, I'm like, what are they paying him? He looks like new money, but comes to find out you are a player and a very good player. So what made the Crunch what made the crunch a decision that you just had to make, a destination you wanted to be?
Hmm. Wow. Where do I begin? Here. Okay, so let me rewind to last year-ish before COVID hit. I actually was reached out to by Eric. Well, Eric and Luciano, I knew them growing up, so we always had a relationship with each other, Um, they reached out like, yeah, we're gonna try and bring the crunch back, So like for me, I'm like, oh, okay, like I'm thinking, all right, what can I do to help you guys, like, do that? I'm not thinking about me coming to play because I don't really know if that's gonna happen fully, because in the past years they've tried it a couple times, but it didn't really work out in the long run. So for me,
Hmm.
I didn't want to 100% commit and then stuck here in Cleveland, and not really be doing what I should be doing. So I told him I was like, I'll just see how it goes, and then we'll go from there. Because honestly, my choices was to go to Florida and potentially play with a Florida team, or go to upstate New York and play with a team out there in the MASL one. So it was a lot of kind of ups and downs that I seen, and I was like, all right, yeah, it's not gonna happen. Like, um, I don't want to even make it a thing. So I actually got a call, and I was told that my father was gonna be released. And for me, that was just something that no matter what is going on in the world, I'm not gonna miss being there for that moment. So fast forward to about like 6 or 7 months after that, um I kind of sat down with my mom and like talked to her about just living here in Ohio, just talking about living here in Ohio, not soccer, not anything else, because she knows no matter where I go, I have to be involved with that, no matter where I.
Hmm.
So because honestly, I never really planned on coming back home to live here full time. And for me, that's what I had to tell myself. Am I ready for that? Um, Back to the crunch. Who wouldn't want to be part of the crunch? If it's gonna happen, if it's something that's really gonna potentially happen, why would you not want to be a part of that? So um, that was pretty much how I decided to go about that. Um, Also, another thing was me just now breaking off into the M1, because I played M2 before. Shout out to San Diego Sockers. We actually won the M2
Oh,
2019. But for me,
had you not won the championship, I would have booed them.
what, this year?
No, I'm saying had you not been part of the
Oh,
championship team, I would have booed them. We can't stand San Diego. Nothing about San Diego at all.
yeah, you're on your own on that one. But
I'll be that. I
um,
will be that.
anyways, yeah, that was pretty much how I got to that part of it. It was just kind of like, dang, do I want to go back M2? Like, I just got an M1. I've trained on teams in the past, but I wasn't really breaking into it, So it was a kind of a big decision I had to make with myself. Do I want to, step down? Like at first, I was looking at it as I'm stepping down, but looking in the long run, it's I don't think there's a better club out there that you could be a part of, So for me, just being in the new crunch, that was just kind of a no brainer. And then my father coming home, it was all in the right time and it happened at the same time. So that's pretty much how that happened.
Nice.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Man, I love the ability of that. You know, it seemed like everything just lined up for you. Because the thing is, you got these. owners that you knew, you know, with your father being released, and then this opportunity to relaunch the Crunch, who, you know, a lot of us grew up watching and being able to see how successful they were.
Right.
And, you know, even talking with Hector previously on the show and just remembering those days to when, like before, you know, the Indians were even in the World Series during our time frame, it was all about the Crunch because, you know, the Browns weren't doing a whole lot. I mean, they had that, you know, 94 season, but outside of that, they weren't doing a whole lot to where they were like talks of championship. You know what I mean? And then when it came to the Indians, like they were just up and down a lot. You know, they made a whole movie, right? A spoof with Major League and all of that. And then you figure the Cavs, there were some good players, but it never could get to the next level because when you got Jordan in your division, what you gonna do? You know what I'm saying? Like the real talk. So the Crunch was it for us, man. And those games were always packed, always exciting. The acoustics was just crazy loud down at the CSU, what used to be the Convocation Center, now the Wolstein Center. It was just rocking, you know, and those games were always fun, man. So to have this opportunity to bring it back,
a big thing.
yeah, man.
Yeah.
You know, and
you got a
everybody's
big
excited
thing
about
when you
it.
selling out. When you selling out more than the college team that the arena belongs to.
Right.
Exactly. Exactly. That says a lot right there, man. And people were excited to see it come back. You know what I mean? So
For
to
me,
be a part of that, you know, that's awesome.
yeah, and I was you know, like 7 or 8, or I was young when they won their last 2 championships. And I
Hmm.
was one of the kids, I don't know if you guys remember at halftime, the kids come on and they scrimmage other teams. We did that so many times, you know, with my.
That's cool.
So, you know, shout out to Eastside Kickers for that as well, because that's the team I was playing on. Did that. But for me, that was so cool at the time, you know, because you're at these crazy games where there's thousands, thousands, thousands of fans, like to the
Hmm.
top league, and then
Yep.
go in there as little kids and play like they're there to watch us play, you know. So like those don't really forget ever, you know. So like I still see that in my head sometimes, you know. But I wanted to be a part of that, you know, because I guarantee,
Hmm.
I know that we can potentially make that happen again. So like it was just kind of the like you said, the right, you know. But it's exciting for me.
But we definitely pulling for
Nah.
y'all, man.
Oh man,
Sure.
I got them winning. I got them winning the chip. I told Eric, they don't win the chip. I'm filing a grievance,
Yeah, man.
bro.
Y'all got a shot for
Let,
sure,
let
man.
let's be fair about this. I drove to Muskegon
Yeah.
to cover that game against Chicago. Well, no, it wasn't Chicago. It was Chicago. It was a 14-2 game. I went to Muskegon. So if I can drive to Muskegon, y'all can win the championship. It's only right.
That's a good way to put it.
Like there were like I got a cousin, shout out to DJ. He actually plays for the Iron Man, whose arena y'all were playing in.
Oh, okay.
And I was like, okay, we drive into town. There's literally nothing there. Y'all couldn't pick no better place to hold this game. Don't get me wrong, the arena was fantastic. That's a beautiful arena. But the outer parts of the city, I'm like, yeah, I don't know about this one. I don't see how nobody like. No wonder they love the arena thing because ain't nothing else there.
Right, that's all they got. You know, it's not
Now
really.
speaking of,
That's
yeah, that's true. That's true. Because usually they put an arena team where there's nothing there, but so that makes sense.
Hmm.
So so while we on the subject of Muskegon, I have to ask, where did the backflip come from off the wall? Like, where was what was going through your mind as that happened? Because I remember you had just scored,
Yeah.
and I just remember I didn't see you bounce off the wall, but I remember seeing you come down, and I'm like, did he just flip off the wall? So what was going on with that?
Uh, well, Honestly, I've always done a backflip. Like that was mother. She was a very good and well-known cheerleading coach, and like I was young, and I will go run on the court after the girls do like their little routine, and I would do a so like I think that's where I got the enjoyment of doing it in front of people because it was a lot of people in the stands watching the basketball or football games, and then really just do what they do, and I'm not even a part of anything. I just run and do the back. So that's pretty much where I started that at. Now going into high school, college, it was my celebration, just a cartwheel and then a backflip. Towards the end of college, it got a little disrespectful because I would always do it in front of the bench. Um,
Oh man,
Oh man.
this,
but
that is disrespectful, just a little bit.
anyways, so indoor arena, um, for me, it was kind of a marketing thing. I knew I would do a flip or some sort of crazy thing, but for me, it was like, what can you do in the span of 5 seconds that you will be remembered for? Um, and I remember I was actually in Syracuse at the time, and I would practice with like the Silver Knights a couple of times, and
Hmm.
I actually did a backflip off the wall. I was like, "Damn, maybe this would be the thing." So time went by, and then I would start doing it all the time as a joke. Like in practice, kids are like, "Yo, do that thing off the wall," and I'd be like, "All right, like whatever." And then in San Diego, that's where it got pretty like crazy for me, and it was like, all right, dude, like there's nothing else you can do that will top this. Um, because I was in the mall in a state in a city that I'm not from, that I don't know a lot of people at, and I'm playing M2 at the time. So a kid actually said, that's the kid that did the back off the wall or something like that. And I'm like, I looked at my friend who I was with, like, what? That's crazy to me. Like we didn't have a lot of fans at the time, but we had enough where someone could remember. So for me, it was just like, all right, yeah, what you're doing, and what other better way to market yourself? So that's pretty much how that came about.
Yeah, that gotta make money on your own. That makes a lot of sense.
Hmm.
Definitely.
So with this season, because like we had said, like I had told you when I first met you, we had got word that you guys were coming back soon as the post was made, and we decided to take this on personally.
Hmm.
And I covered the Bruce City game, which was for Bruce City, it was a disaster. But as a member of the New Look Crunch, what has your experience been, and what has the season been like for you going going towards the playoffs?
Um, I mean, so far, I would say the season has been how it should be, if that makes sense. Not really necessarily any. I mean, we had our downs, but I wouldn't say it was anything like too bad. We all. I'm sure everyone knows we had the coach change earlier in the season, which I don't think it affect us as a team on the field.
Hmm.
But I think that contributed to us knowing that we're a real deal and like we really are there for each other as teammates. Because that's a sticky situation you can be put in. Just being one day you got this coach and then the next day you got a new coach and then you gotta still be up to where you were when you had that coach. So like, I'm sure I could speak for the rest of the team. That didn't change anything. Our main goal was to win everything. Um, which for me is amazing because I was coming from a team where I had a coach where, every game didn't really matter, or you didn't have to win this or whatever or anything. But for me, being here and then going through that and seeing that with my team, it was like, yo, this is, another reason why I'm here. So that's that with that. But um,
It's
that's
hard to find, that kind of synergy because I know being on different teams, man, and regardless of like what sport it is, you're always going to remember like a set group or a specific team that it was that you had that brotherhood or that bond with.
mm,
And it sounds like you definitely got that going on now,
right.
because I'm sure you've had other teams where, there were a huge impact on like your life or just, your influence in terms of like playing the game of soccer, you know what I mean? But to have this right now, it sounds like you really, really feel this is a good fit and that, you're looking forward to doing it for, as long as possible or whatever your, plans or goals are at this point. Because I know like with this just starting up and with, you know, seeing this culture and like how the team is growing and success they're having early and stuff like that, who would want to be a part of that? You know what I mean? So this is really good to hear, man, because we haven't had a chance to have any like players on yet to be able to talk about that kind of thing.
Right.
And it's just good to kind of get that out there or to be able to hear that that's happening and seeing how everything is so cohesive.
For
Because
sure.
after us having like, Luciano and Eric on the show, and then to have you on as well, and of course going, back in the past and having Hector come on, like it's just full circle, you know,
Crazy.
it's just full circle, man.
Yeah, I agree with that because we had honestly I didn't think Hector would be on because Hector's not well traditionally Hector wasn't the media guy,
Yeah.
and when he said yes, it was like, oh bet, we got the goat,
The
and
goat.
now we got one of the new guys on, and it seems like this was supposed to happen for everybody,
Hmm.
not just
Yep.
you, but for us as well, because you know we get the news y'all coming back, we get Eric and Luciano on, we get Hector. So it's like I wonder if this would really pay off, and just by chance, I finally get you to come on. So we appreciate
Yeah.
you taking the time.
Right.
Um, I I know this is gonna be weird because the new look, the crunch of old were a bunch of mean guys. They were brutal. Uh, but you guys played more of a fast, up pace, up tempo style, and you don't really see that. Yes, the indoor soccer game is fast already, but to see a team constantly attack you from all angles, you know, do you get anybody on the opposing team like, hey, man, can y'all slow down a bit? Or do they just like not? Are they too tired to say anything to you? Because if you watch those games, by the time y'all guys get to five, those other teams are gassed. Like,
Yeah, they get
have
worn
you
out
ever had
quick.
anybody like, yeah, have you anybody tell you, slow down, you're killing us?
It's funny you bring that up because I think every game we've played, at least one or two people said something similar to that. Um, also, not just off the strength of against them because a lot of the players, I know a lot of people in the league. So majority of them have played in M1 as well, and they compare, the way we move compared to how the other M2 teams move and certain M1 teams play. So we do get comments like that all the time, and for me, it makes me feel better because that was a big thing for me. Like, how do I come home and let these guys know that it doesn't matter if you're M2 or M1. It's all about the quality of the play and the speed of the game.
Hmm.
Because when I played M2, it was fast in 2019. It was fast paced. And then I went M1 and I'm like, holy crap, like this is like no joke. It's even faster. But when I came home, I didn't really have to do much or say much because a lot of the talent was there, and thankfully we had the right coaches that knew the game, and we had players that want to listen and get better. So I didn't really have to say much or do anything or try to like guide players to do certain things. I mean, there's times where I give my opinion, and Mario, he's played in the league a couple of years. He gives his opinion as well, but that's
It's funny you bring up Mario because, as we've seen, Mario is obviously top goalie in M2, hands down. When
mhm.
y'all are at practice, do y'all get frustrated because he done blocked everything?
um honestly, I'll be lighting Mario up in practice, so he's usually the one getting frustrated. But
That's cool.
that's what makes practice competitive, And Mario's not a guy that's just good and he knows he's good and he's just gonna leave it at that. This kid works his ass off. Excuse my language, but he works his tail off from
Hmm.
and like there's no in between with him. He's at the 100% level anytime he's on the field. I think that's kind of like where me and him, his friendship got like this because he went to East Lake. We played against East Lake in high school. And growing up, I'm like, yo, this kid is the real deal. Like, people don't know that right now, but like, he's nice. He's always been like that. But I think it's just his love for the game and like the passion he has for it. He doesn't expect or he doesn't want anything less than greatness. So, like, we had a couple of practices that were pretty bad, and he voiced his opinion, and we needed that, because a lot of guys that they talk and stuff, they haven't been into M2 playoffs or M1 playoffs or anything in that boat, which is a big difference. But to have somebody like Mario that is always like that is good. It's good for the team, good for the club. So
And for those watching, Mario is the first goalkeeper I've ever seen throw a touchdown pass for a goal. No, seriously, like literally, he threw a touchdown pass for a goal. I don't know how that even happens or why the goalkeeper for the other team was even out that far to have to chase the ball down. But shout out to Mario for the touchdown pass and the goal. That was awesome.
yeah, that was great to see, man. I was so happy for him because I knew it was coming. I knew it would happen at some point of the season. I just didn't know when. And I know he has the arm to do it because if you look back at my goals, I'm pretty sure he has like two or three of my assists. Um, but it was great to see for him, and for the fans too, because a lot of people didn't know goalies could score. So that was
Hmm.
a special moment for everyone. If you
Yeah.
you could just see all of our emotions. It was just one hell of a goal from Murray.
Yeah, that was so awesome. And I was sitting there like it's and I hate to say it like this, but when you see it live, you're just like, did that shit really just happen?
Right.
And
Hmm.
then I had to actually turn to Luch and I was like, hey man, is that legal? And he's like, yeah, I mean, he's on the field. What can they do?
Yeah, it
Shit,
was
that's
our teammates that was like, does that count? I'm like,
yeah. And I looked at the replay from the live stream, and the commentator was even like, I'm not believing this, but Mario just scored. Like that should have made ESPN top 10, to be honest.
it really did. It really should have.
It's so rare, just to even have that happen, or
Right.
to be
Yeah,
like, you almost got a question just because of that. You can't believe what you saw,
right.
you know?
Now, now I have to ask, what's the relationship with you? Because you're one of, I counted 5 black players on the team. What's the relationship with you guys on the field, because when they put you guys on the field, it's scary. And I don't mean that in a bad way, but like when you see you and you got speed, Sammy's got the footwork, and then you see Blackwood who's built like a strong safety. Like, what's that relationship like when they put you guys all on the field at the same time?
Honestly, it's great, because we talk about it a lot, actually. And for us, it's kind of like we've each been through so much, you know what I'm saying? So it's like we know what each other can do. And like you just said, we all got different qualities in our play. So the relationship is great, everything all around, like we want to see each other succeed. I've been on teams where there were other black players and it wasn't that way, so like um for us, I think it's great for not even just us three, but everyone in general, because a lot
Mhm.
of players, they don't look at it like that, but for us, we do. We talk about it all the time. And we actually I made a comment recently, like, imagine if we had all five of us on the line, because it's not just us three. We got Ashton, we got Gabriel, who's also pretty good, but I'm sure he'll break through eventually. But so I can only imagine what a been out there. But for us,
I
it's just,
wouldn't be on the field.
like you said, it's scary. It's dangerous. We know other teams see that and they know that, and when they play against us, if they get by one of us, they got to get by two other ones. So like we
Yeah,
pride in that. But I love it, honestly.
yeah. Because when I originally saw the lineup, I was like, okay, that's cool. You got a brother, because it was you, and then it was Sammy. I was like, all right, they got some brothers on the team, cool. And then they put you, Sammy, and Blackwood on the field at the same time, and I was like, I think that was that had to be the Bruce City game.
Yeah,
And I was like, wait, why is this big motherfucker on the field? He's literally built like a strong safety. So you're looking at him, and I know the dudes on the other team is like, you want me to guard him?
right.
And then you see him running through people, and then he'll pass the ball to you and you knock it in for a goal. I'm just like, man, that's unfair. That's really unfair, because if he runs through somebody, you outrun somebody, and Sammy crosses somebody over. Hey, that's just, I don't know how teams do it. Like I don't. Chicago survived that first game, and it showed in the second. So you know.
Yeah,
And by the way, I was happy as hell when y'all beat the shit out of Chicago. I couldn't. I was beside myself.
and me too. That was the first Chicago. That was the first arena game I've ever lost that I dressed.
Yeah, because that was a questionable game. That was a questionable game.
It happens. And I think for us, I hate to say we needed that, but I think we needed something else to lift our spirits up, because we already know we're good. We know
Hmm.
what we can do, but I think we were in a stage of like we're already where we can get to, which is, that loss kind of justified that. It brought back more competitiveness at practice, how it was in the beginning, and as you can see, every game after that, we play every game like it's our last game, like it's a championship game, and like we're there for each other, and we just go 100%. Like I think that loss kind of like justified that and helped us get
Hey,
back
you
where we should be.
you know what? I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't even count that as a loss, because there was and we all know, if for those people watching and those that are gonna watch later on, if you've ever played a game in Chicago, whether it's pro, high school, college, whatever, it is very sketchy officiating in Chicago. If you think Pennsylvania is bad, you ain't been to Chicago. And I knew from all of my times in Chicago playing, I was like, yeah, it's gonna be sketchy. I hope they put y'all in a good arena, because I had talked to Eric about that. I'm like, what arena are y'all playing in? Because if y'all, I was supposed to go cover that game, but situation panned out. So I was like, what arena they already putting y'all in? And I was like, as long as they don't put y'all in the Odeum, y'all are okay. And he's like, is that arena that bad? I'm like, that's the worst. You take any other arena in Chicago, don't take the Odeum.
Mm.
And I watched the game. The only thing I liked about that game was the commentary because the one Latino dude, excuse me, Latinx, he was honest. He's like, you can't sleep on Cleveland because they'll mess around and turn the goal. And then no soon as he said that, you scored. And then Blackwood scored. And he's like, see what I'm saying? You can't do that. And I'm like, you tied the game up, and I was like, yeah, we got this.
Mm-hmm.
And they blow like 3 different calls in the same sequence. And I'm just like, yeah, that's Chicago for you. So watching that game in Muskegon, I was excited. I was happy. I appreciate y'all for avenging that loss because that made me feel some type of way.
Right.
I felt I lived vicariously through y'all as a player. I felt like I got revenge on Chicago.
Yeah, man, that was great to see, and it made it better because we didn't do that at home, so that couldn't be their excuse, But yeah, that was a questionable game. But at the end of the day, we knew that into the game. We knew we had officiating. We knew there were certain things that were going to happen outside the game that was going to try to affect us. Whether if that was them not answering Eric's calls to us getting the hotel, etc. Small things.
Oh,
But
they get y'all with that too? Damn.
Chicago for you. But we got them back, so that's all that matters. But play them again, so I'm not going to speak too much on the past because we'll see them in the week. And they had to get players, so I guess we'll see how that goes as well. But at the end of the day, we'll be ready for anyone.
Hey, speaking of
Yeah.
next week, what are you expecting physically and on the field against Chicago?
Um, the same as any game, competitive, fast, long. I think we kind of, the beating that we put on them the last time we played, I would say that was just, a lot, but not to the point where they're gonna come here like, oh, they beat us this bad. Like, no, we beat them like very bad, So like, of course, it's gonna be competitive and physical, but I don't think it's nothing that we haven't seen. Like they did get a couple of new players that came from M1 teams, but that as well in other teams we played. So we don't really look at it as we should be worried about anything. If we do our part, we should be fine. And we're at home for the last time of the year, so why not put our best performance on?
Amen. Last thing. What is life like outside of soccer? Like, what are you up to now?
um, it's life, I guess. I love hanging out with my friends. I love seeing my family. Um, I like shopping, clothes. As you commented on the beginning, that's a big thing for me. But honestly, I just for me, I feel like I'm on earth to have a good time and to play soccer. So if I'm not playing soccer, I need to have a good time. Rather, if I'm with my girlfriend and we watching a TV show or something like that, or if I'm at Dante's or Ivy, shout out to them because those are two good places I like to go to in my free time. But I'm a people person, so that's pretty much all that goes on outside of soccer. I do coach as well for PSC Pro Soccer Club in North Olmsted. We actually had State Cup this week, and we advanced to the semifinals with a big
That's
win,
what's up.
6-0. Shout out to my boys. But other than coaching with PSC, I do private trainings as well. So my Monday through Fridays are literally soccer, whether if it's practice with the crunch or coaching or doing private trainings. But other than that, not really much else to do, I guess.
Or what's the name
That's
of
cool.
the training company so the kids out there can find you?
Right. So it's All American Training. That's All American. I
Okay.
have banners or something for everyone to see at the next game. But that's the name of the training. That's the name of my Instagram, my Twitter, and that's how you can find me. So that's that.
But so for you parents out there looking to sign your kids up for some sports, go find McCain. All right. All right. This part of our show is brought to you in part by Uncle Rico's Quarter Mile Challenge.
Oh man.
He can throw a football over them mountains. So if you want to challenge somebody, this would be the game to do it.
Oh man.
We do got a couple of topics we need to touch. So McCain, if you're ready or if you want to join in on it, you're more than welcome to. If you want to go spend time with your girl, we'll let you do that as well. It's up to you, but we do have to address these topics because this is some big stuff going on in the world of sports.
Yeah.
First off, I'm not really going to use the banner because it was one and done. Sam Houston State wins the FCS Spring Championship 23-21 over North Dakota State. They beat the Jackrabbits. Last second touchdown with like 16 seconds on the clock. So this is Sam Houston State's first championship. So congrats to them. The Crew end up falling to New England 1-0 in final time. Last second goal. They slipping, so we don't know. I don't know what's going on down in Columbus. I don't know if it's the new stadium. Maybe they need to ship them back to the old stadium and get some stigma back. Whatever it is, they need to change it.
No, they got man. But no, they always start off slow. Like no one expected them to win the whole thing last year in the beginning. And then
I was hoping that they did, but when they started off slow, I was like, yeah, not again. We also do have some bad news that we had to address because in the world of sports over the week, we lost two legendary figures, one in pro wrestling and one in football, starting with Colt Brennan, famed University of Hawaii quarterback, passed away at the age of 37 of an apparent drug overdose. For those young people that don't know about Colt Brennan, he's one of the quarterbacks that helped put the University of Hawaii on the map. And I'm not saying that figuratively, I mean that literally, because when you were playing in the run and shoot offense, you think of quarterbacks like Warren Moon, Jim Kelly to a degree. And Timmy Chang and Colt Brennan were among the two quarterbacks at Hawaii under June Jones's system that took Hawaii to the top, even getting a berth in the Sugar Bowl, even though they got throttled by Ronnie's Georgia Bulldogs 41-10. It's just sad to see that because from what the reports go, he was such a good guy,
That was definitely.
And very exciting to watch. And that one was a shocker. That one shocked a lot of people.
Yeah, that came out
the second, nowhere, man. Yeah, it did. And that one almost was as bad as the one that I'm about to address, which was the passing of New Jack, a famed pro wrestler out of ECW and XPW fame. For those that don't know, New Jack is a very outspoken person, not just a pro wrestler. He's an outspoken person, would speak his mind, and in the ring, he hurt you. He did hurt you. But everybody I've talked to in the pro wrestling world say he couldn't be a nicer guy. He looked out for everybody. He was just one of those people you truly loved and respected. So our condolences go out to the families of Colt Brennan and New Jack, Jerome Young, respectively. Okay, with that being said, it's been noted already, Wednesday night, every schedule in the NFL came out. So, without further ado, we are going to address the elephant in the room, starting with the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yeah,
Hey, watch your mouth. Watch your mouth.
that, that's
Watch your mouth. Watch your mouth. I'm gonna be honest. As a Steelers fan, I've been, and I'm gonna say this not as a Steelers fan, as a journalist, I have paid attention to the offseason so far, and um, it doesn't look good. I get it. We re-signed Juju. We got a plethora of offensive weapons, but uh, I'm not sold. Even with Ben coming back, I'm not sold on this year's Steelers team. And the reason I'm not sold is because one, the offensive line is old. Outside of one person, the offensive line is old. Number two, I'm not sold on Ben this year. I know Ben feels like he still has it, but he's got to show it. Like, towards the end of the season, he did not have it. It looked like time had skipped him, and it was time to hang it up. I thought he was going to, but he comes back, which hinders a lot of what we could have done as Steeler fans and as an organization. But that's why they play the game. So starting off the Hall of Fame game against Dallas, we know Dak's coming back. Then you have the Eagles, but I'm looking at this schedule right now, and I'm not sold on the games against Seattle, the Raiders, and Buffalo. Now that's week 1, week 2, and week 6. I'm not sold on those games. I see 3 losses before the bye week even comes with those games, because Buffalo is probably going to be the newfound king of the AFC East. The Raiders, being in Vegas, new site, they stunk it up a little bit, but we all know once Gruden gets that team the way he wants it, it's going to be a problem. And it's Seattle. Seattle, Pete Carroll is known for having a defense in some way, shape, or form. And I wonder if Mike Tomlin can keep this team under control. I'm really starting to wonder that. And I don't know if they have enough. They lost key pieces. They lost Dupree. You're missing linebackers. I just need to see. I need to see more. And I need to see more from Ben. I need to see more from Juju. We have Najee Harris, which is a big upgrade from Connor. Don't get me wrong. Love James Conner, but James Conner's not an every down back. Najee Harris is. And that's a big upgrade. But at the same time, this offensive line could be the liability, and that made me nervous.
You mentioned it, and you said that you saw 3 losses before the bye week. And I almost was there. I actually had 2 before the bye week because I had gave it the Bills and the Seahawks. With the Packers game, because potentially if, Aaron Rodgers is dealt, I have the whole AFC North sweeping them this season if Aaron Rodgers is dealt. So I gave him that win with a potential trade of Aaron Rodgers not being there and them having to use was it Blake Bortles, I believe.
Oh my God.
So it all depends on that, really. I feel like for me, in terms of that game, because I feel like if he's still there, yes, they can win that game. If he's not there anymore, then that's a win for Pittsburgh, and that's where my third loss would have been for just that team. But I had Buffalo and the Seahawks as the 2 before bye week.
Hey man, listen, Chase. Let's be real about this, man. I'm not every other Steelers fan, okay? Let's start right there. Don't get on me about this, man. I'm the most unbiased Steelers fan you'll ever meet. Anybody tell you any different, they're lying.
Very true.
To Chris, look, Chris, I'm not disrespecting the Dolphins this time, okay? But
he said it this time.
But you have to be logical about this in the AFC East. The problem they're going to have is going against Buffalo. Let's look at historically. When Buffalo was king of the AFC East, their kryptonite was Miami until Dan Marino got hurt. Once Dan Marino started getting hurt, Buffalo doesn't even care about Miami because I wonder if anybody could tell me Dan's backup back then. Yeah, nope. Crickets. I don't know either. So I'm not disregarding that, but this is year 2 for Tua, if I'm not mistaken. Mm-hmm. And this will be the first year he'll be at the helm by himself. He won't be coming in behind Fitzpatrick. He'll be there from day one. Yeah. So if he can hold up from day one, he shouldn't have a problem. They have a running game. They have a pretty good defense. But again, you're playing in a weak division. Your biggest problem is going to be a team historically you're not good against. I'm sorry. It's a rivalry to a degree, but let's be honest.
There's that, and then
wait. Steve the Bird? That's even.
Hey, I'll be honest. I would have had to Google that. So back to your point.
I would have too, but yeah, I'm gonna let him have that.
The thing about the Dolphins this year too, man, is they're banking on the fact that I guess they're trying to create an NFL level Crimson Tide, because you figure they got 2 on there, and then they got Jalen Waddell was their first pick. You know what I mean? So I guess they're trying to do the same thing that Cincinnati was doing with Burrow and Chase being reunited. I don't know. But then again, looking at that, the team from the AFC North that plays them this year is the Ravens, not the Steelers. So, when you figure them playing the Ravens, and I don't see them winning that game. I mean, that's the one behind that they're going to drop. And with, the Bills being in front, I mean, it is what it is, man. You know what I'm saying? I do think that they're going to be better than what they were last year. I'll definitely give you that for sure.
I give them a 10 win.
Having the Bills in it, yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'll put them in double digits, but like the Bills are just tearing it up, man, on both sides of the ball right now. That's just a team to beat in the AFC East right now.
Super team.
Mm-hmm.
Mac, what you think about the Steelers coming up? I know you already hate the Steelers, but just try to give us an unbiased opinion.
I don't really have an opinion about the Steelers at all, but at the end of the day, I think it's time for him to go. Big Ben speaking about, but I feel like Steelers have always really been known really for their defense, but I haven't really heard too much about their defense in the past couple of years, but I feel like for the organization as a whole, I think they should have let him go last year, because then they would have had time to really, now they got a whole nother year with him, and then, you know what I'm saying? So for me,
I agree. I agree, because, it's hard to, as a player, and I'm speaking from a lot of experience, as a player, it's hard to tell yourself to walk away when your mind feels like you still got it, but your body's telling you different. And Ben's body over the last, I'll give him the last 2 years. Over the last 2 years, Ben's body's been showing physically he may not have it.
Right.
And it might be gone this year if he doesn't. I'm gonna give him the benefit of the doubt, just because he's always been a hell of a quarterback. But at the same time, he took a beating last year. He took a beating in the playoff game. It might be time. Just call it. I mean, there's nothing wrong with calling it a career.
Now that you said that, Mel, it made me think too, because wasn't there a little bit of back and forth going on with what's the guy's name? Dylan Wave, I believe.
Yeah, it was,
because he's on a different team now.
Yeah, but you got to understand, man. From a front office standpoint, Ben is holding up a lot of cap space. He's holding up like $30 million.
Yeah,
which could be used to bring in new defensive players,
right?
Or a veteran quarterback who's not playing, who's backing up somebody else who may want to play. Like, case in point, JT Barrett's down in Dallas getting a tryout. We could have kept him here. He was on the roster. You mean to tell me Mason Rudolph is better? I doubt that. I'm not sold on that.
And speaking of backups, man, Dwayne Haskins. Like,
there you go.
Here's my thing. This is the year I feel like for them. If you got Claypool, you got Juju re-signed, Washington's still out there, you got this new tight end, you brought in or whatever, and you figure having Najee Harris in the backfield, this would be the season to get those guys to play together with Haskins. You
would think
take your licks this season because you're gonna take them, right? But you grow together, and then next year, you see what that looks like. Because the thing is, to have Ben play this year, to have the line, kind of go backwards a little bit, it may be time for Haskins to come in anyway. Because if he get clipped hard enough, it's gonna be Haskins' team anyway. Let's just call it what it is. So that should have been an approach they should have taken in the beginning, I feel like, and not wait on that, But now you got a whole season where you're going to have him in there. He'll probably be done after this year, right? And then you got to wait another year to see, okay, Haskins has been behind him, then he comes out in the forefront, because I honestly do see him taking, obviously, the number 2 spot from Rudolph, right? But then what does that look like, though?
100%. I could take it.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's the difference, man. It's just like, I thought that would have happened this year, but we'll see what happens, man. I don't know, but they definitely got to upgrade at some, a couple of spots. But Ben is going to slow them down, man.
I feel that way, but we said that about the college football world. Look what happened there.
Right.
All right, moving on. The Cincinnati Kittens.
No love here.
They start off the season with Minnesota, at Chicago, and then Pittsburgh. From then it's Jacksonville, Green Bay, and Detroit. Baltimore, the Jets, Cleveland, Las Vegas, and again in Pittsburgh. I am
ugly.
I got to move this banner, but yeah, they finished. Then they have San Fran, the Chargers, Denver, Kansas City, and then Cleveland at the end of the season. I'm gonna make this short and sweet. Here's 2 problems with this. One, Burrow's coming back. No, but before you start laughing, hear me out. Burrow's coming back. That's not a bad problem.
No,
the problem is Burrow's coming back with a bad offensive line. And it's the same offensive line that just got this man's ACL tore and his leg broke.
That's terrible.
You still got a good running game. You still got a good receiving core. But if Joe Burrow's not upright, it's not going to work. They drafted a lineman, I believe, but it was a late round draft pick, meaning 2nd to the 4th or 2nd to the 7th. The problem with this is you're playing in the AFC North. That's the third problem. And everybody else that you're playing against in your own division does not like you. So what do you do to fix this problem? You better go find somebody in the spring league's got linemen. The XFL still got linemen that's looking for places. You better, if you Paul Brown, or if you're Mike Brown, excuse me. If you're Mike Brown, you better start looking for linemen, because your offensive weapons aren't the problem. Your defense is decent enough to get you 9 wins.
Yep.
Should your offense do what it's supposed to do, which they were on the brink of doing before Burrow got hurt. If you're Mike Brown, you better start shopping for some linemen, because Pittsburgh's old, but that defense can still come after you. The Browns just took a vastly traumatic approach in upgrading the defense. And Baltimore is Baltimore. Baltimore has always been known for defense. Baltimore has been known for defense since 1995. Y'all better go find Burrow some protection. Get him a gun. a bulletproof vest, something. Because if he take another hit, like that, man, it's a done deal. His career, he might be David Carr if they don't do something.
That's real, man. No disagreement here with that. Oh my goodness, man. I feel for the kid. I really do.
Yeah, that's
I
gonna
really
be
do.
see how that goes.
I know another thing
And
too, man. Looking at the schedule, you know, like you
put that
said,
up
they
one
got to
more
give
time.
Burrow protection. He needed some protection, man, because it's funny with him doing a whole season right now. I had said like maybe 8 and 9. But if they can't get that boy some protection, you're looking at a 5-12, 6-11. Um,
Man,
I'm just saying, man. Let's just
I,
put it
I
out
I'm
there.
not I'm not far behind you, bro. I'm
I,
not. But
I
my
mean,
thing was this. My thing was this. It was we know what Burrow can do. Had
yeah,
it
he's
not
shown
been
it.
for Haskins, had he not been for Haskins at Ohio State, he'd be starting. He'd probably still be there. Just because COVID, you get another year. They gave all the players who
Oh, for
opted
real?
in another year.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
They get an extra year,
So
yeah.
in hindsight, if he stays and Haskins isn't there, he might be still there. He gets to Cincinnati. He's got AJ Green for a year, somewhat. He's got Mixon. He's got Boyd, but he's got
Hmm.
no offensive line. And you've already seen he's a hell of a quarterback. So why would you do this man like that? You didn't do Carson Palmer like this.
Nope.
You didn't do outside of Carson. You didn't do Boomer like this. You damn sure didn't do Boomer like this. You damn sure didn't. You did Ken Anderson like that to a degree, but then again, y'all were just starting up around there. Y'all was just starting to find your footing. So get this man some help for y'all killing. I'm not. I don't want to report that Joe Burrow is dead on arrival in Cincinnati's hospital.
Man, seriously though.
Yeah, that's gonna be.
Moving on from the Bengals, we got the Blackbirds down in Baltimore, the Rats with Wings,
Man.
and they start off Oakland, Kansas City, Detroit, and Denver in the first 4 weeks. I don't know what it is. It could be just me, but is Baltimore Kansas City the new rivalry?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Oh my gosh, that game, man. Look, that's gonna be one of them games for years that people gonna be looking for on the schedule. Because you better believe it. If they don't see each other regular season, they see each other in the playoffs, man. And having somebody like Lamar go up against,
Hmm.
Mahomes,
Yeah,
that's gonna
that's
be one of the ones, man, we're gonna be seeing for a long time. I'm excited about this game. Um, it's funny you mentioned those 4 games because with this, I actually had them 2-2 in the first 4 games. Um,
I got them 3-1.
3-1.
I
Okay.
got them 3-1 because
Um,
let's look at it again for the folks at home. The
mhm.
Raiders, they don't really have a problem with getting to Derek Carr, and that's really what you have to do. You have
Yep.
to attack Derek Carr. Uh, that's the Lions. Matt Stafford's gone. It's the curse of Bobby Lane all over again. And Denver is still struggling to find a quarterback. So
hmm
your only real kryptonite in that situation is Patrick Mahomes. And I believe he's 1-1 against them. So, rubber matches here and possibly again in the playoffs. But do you think, because I honestly have, it's a toss up. I have Baltimore possibly winning this game. But my
Mhm.
question is, do you think Baltimore has enough just based on what they already have to beat Kansas City again?
The ironic part about this discussion too is the fact that we're talking about these 2 teams, and these are the 2 teams that were involved in the trade of Orlando Brown. I think that was a huge mistake.
Oh my
Giving
God.
him over to the Chiefs, it gives the Chiefs a instant boost on the offensive line, which they didn't need help with. But having a guy like that, and essentially Baltimore's best offensive lineman, who's now with the Chiefs. I think that gives them an edge alone. I feel like it's gonna be one of those situations where they got to figure out what to do with that particular spot being vacated. And to have that happen or have that issue in the first two games of the season, it just don't
I
look
still,
good.
I agree, and I still think that was a dumb move because that's
I
like
hate
you
that. I
having
hate that move.
$5. That was like you having $5 and having to give somebody $2.50. Like you be upset.
Yeah. Like I hated that move, and I don't even like them, but I hated that move. I'm like, that move is terrible. You know what I'm saying? Like you giving them help, you want to give the team that you're gonna see however many times a year, whether it's once or twice, you gonna give them help? I'm like, come on, man. Like that's a loss. I'm like, yeah, that's a loss. I ain't gonna worry about that. Now the thing is,
I'm, I'm,
though, I
I'm
said
gonna
something about
address
Denver
this.
too. So like with
I'm
Denver, I actually put a loss here only because the travel schedule, them going to Detroit, coming back, them going up to Denver, coming back that early in the season, of course they're professional athletes, right? So you expect them to be tip top shape, all of that. Having to deal with that Denver air earlier in the season may play an effect along with travel. So I'm giving it more to the elements versus the talent. I'm going to
right.
call it as that and say that's the reason why they lose. Not because Denver's better, because they're not better than Baltimore, but it's just those elements, man. Just like how we talk about later in the season in Cleveland having that 12th man with the weather. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
yeah.
That's how Denver is, man. Especially earlier in the year.
Even with the elements in Denver, I still think Baltimore has more than enough to beat Denver. But the thing that people don't realize about Denver is Denver, yes, Teddy, yes, Chris, Teddy is in Denver. But what does Denver have around Teddy to help him?
Mm.
What do they have? If they don't have what he needs, Teddy needs a running back. Teddy needs receivers that can catch. Teddy also don't have a very strong defense. What is Baltimore known for doing in the fourth quarter? They run the ball.
Hard.
Whether it's Ingram, whether it's Dobbs, or whether it's Lamar, they run it. And by the time 5 minutes to go in the fourth quarter, you're done. Man,
And you know what?
Jerry Judy is one person. You got a whole defense that's ready to take your head off, man. That's one receiver. No
Speaking of which,
offense.
they probably gonna put what you call it on him. They're gonna put Humphreys on Judy, man. Humphreys is
Right.
that dude. He gonna
And,
lock him
and,
down. Um,
and
the thing,
again, here's the end. Here's my last statement on that. What offensive line is going to stop that defense, that front seven? Teddy gonna be running for his life, man. I'd have
well,
stayed
that's
in
the
New
thing,
Orleans.
and see, that's the thing because with Baltimore, in this game, they're their own worst enemy with this one. If they want to win it, they can win it. You know what I mean? So it's just a matter of what they do on their end, as we'll see the outcome. So I know for me, when I do these little predictions, I try to like throw one or two games out there that make no sense at all. So that's the one I got that makes no sense.
Well, the one that makes no sense for me is the Colts game. And the reason I'm saying it makes no sense to me is because yes, for Indianapolis, the defense is there. The offensive
Mhm.
weaponry is there. But the question mark is quarterback.
Carson Wentz.
Exactly. And what has Carson
Mm,
Wentz been known for the last 3 seasons?
getting hurt. I'm sorry. I mean, I just
Enough,
look, man.
enough
It's
said. Enough said.
look, man.
Enough said.
I'm not trying to knock the man's game or nothing like that. I'm just saying,
I
man, he
am.
been hurt. Because the thing is, he did enough that one year, right? But
Hmm.
then Foles had to close it out. But outside of that, we haven't seen anything else.
Right.
And you're not gonna
So,
see it. If he keep look, you know what? I'm gonna say it like this. If this man was on the Ravens team, Nick Foles would be dead.
oh man, yeah, that'd be it. That'd be his career right there, man, for sure.
So
Um, the only other, The only upside that I do see with this is him being reunited with his former offensive coach. That's the same coach he had when he was in Philly that first year. That's the only upside I see. The only upside, really. Outside of that,
That
I mean, who knows?
that's not an
Unless
upside, man. Is that an upside if the offensive coordinator was on the field with him? Yeah, okay, I'll take that, but he ain't.
I mean, I'm just saying, like, the thing is, when you had that dynamic previously, and I don't know what kind of scheme they're running, if it's the same one that they did in Philly, maybe there's a modification there too, whatever, I don't know. But that does give him a little bit more of a chance to play a little bit better. He has a better line that he'll be thrown behind. So we'll see. You know, we'll see. He got some running backs there too. Them boys are
Yeah.
good too. So we'll see what happens, man. But I don't know. This game, it'll be fun to watch defensively
Yeah, it will. It will.
for sure.
And finally, last but not least, I'm gonna be nice. We got the Browns. And we start this one off with the Chiefs, the Texans, the Bears, Vikings, and Chargers all in the first 5 weeks.
Man.
That's looking pretty good.
Yeah.
That's looking pretty good. I will say this though.
Especially in the long run.
Yeah, in the long run for sure. But then I think for me with this particular schedule, the one that hits me in those first 5 weeks is that Chargers game. It feels like a trap game, man. You know, them having to go to Minnesota, coming back, going out there. We always play the Chargers weird. I don't know what it is. I don't care who it is. Yes, in LA.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It's in LA. And it's I don't know what it is about playing them, man. It just is. It's like it don't matter who the players are. It's just something about that matchup every single time. It don't go the way that you think. I don't know. That game has me feeling a little bit weird. They probably would win that game, but I feel like they might end up having that one dropped. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? I feel like if it was here, I would feel more confident in that. If it was here.
I still feel confident about this one, and I'm gonna tell you why. I know McCain, you got to go, so I'm gonna say this, and then we're gonna send you out. But let's not forget. The Browns average 39 points a game, and with that, the Chargers only average maybe 25, if I'm not mistaken. The 39 and 25, that's a big gap. Not to mention, the defense has improved for the Browns tremendously. It's an area that they improved that they needed to, which was the secondary. I don't think unless the act of the football gods, I'm not even gonna say an act of God, an act of the football gods gives this to the Chargers. I see the Browns blowing the Chargers out. The three that I had, it was 3 games that I wrote about for Cleveland Sports Talk. I wrote a article for Cleveland Sports Talk, and I put it on our website. So the 3 that I have are the Cardinals, the Patriots, and I believe I want to say it was the Raiders, one of the 2. But I know for a fact it was the Cardinals and the Patriots for sure. Those are the games that make me nervous because, one, the Cardinals are a scrappy team. They've been a scrappy team. Kyler Murray has kept that. They played in the toughest division outside of the AFC North. They played in the toughest division in the whole NFC, and they went to 8-8. So if you can survive and have a 500 record in that division, imagine what you can do when you got to jump on everybody.
And you figure this year they're going to have a couple of more games to win because the whole switch up with the Rams,
right,
and them losing players. So yeah,
and then you know you're going to New England. You're going to New England. You're going to play the Bill Belichick's. Bill's still pissed about 95. I don't think he's ever going to let that go. That'll probably be on his obituary. I'm still pissed about 95.
Not to mention their players, they get back because I think they had at least 10 or more players sit out during COVID. They had the most players sit out actually of any other team. last year, so them guys would be fresh. And then just going to play in Foxborough just sucks. That's not the place you want to play them at. So yeah, I put that as a loss too. I did. And actually this year I had them splitting with Baltimore. And this is why I say that it's a little bit different because you remember now your number one back is Dobbins because Ingram's not there. They didn't have to see Dobbins as much before because of Ingram, but when Dobbins was in the game, he was getting them TDs, he was making them miss, he was doing what he had to do. Having him every down is going to be a lot different for that offense. I think they're going to gain a lot more ground with him. You got Sammy Watkins out there, and then they also drafted the receiver from Minnesota that we talked about. So, it's going to be a lot different, having those guys out there. So with that pass rush, I mean, you can get that ball out quick. They just got to work with Lamar on that kind of stuff. Be like, look, man, we get it. You can juke the hell out of whoever you feel like. Okay, that's great. But when you got this pass rush coming at you, this guy going to be waiting right there. This guy going to be waiting right there. It's going to be a lot of quick hits and a lot of space and a lot of gaps, a lot of open field. It's going to be different. It's going to be a thing that Cleveland hasn't seen yet from Baltimore because of that. I think they're going to be like, okay, a lot of screen type of setups because we know the pass rush are going to be there. And we know our offensive line kind of took a little bit of a back step with letting Brown go. We're going to let you come at us a little bit. That's going to be their difference in their game.
Oh, I just pulled it up. It was Houston that I had. It was part of the wild card paragraph.
Houston?
And yes, and the reason it was a wild card game was because we only beat them 10-7 in November. It was a bad weather game, but the intangible was the weather. So I honestly believe that if the Browns are in a good weather game, we 2 in September, but we know how September is in Cleveland. If it's not a bad weather game, I think the Browns went away with it. But the Browns did show, even though they took 2 out of 3 bad weather games, that they do struggle in the bad weather.
True.
Outside of that, I gave the Browns a 12-5 record, and I got them winning the division. This division is wide open because Baltimore still hasn't gotten over the Pittsburgh hump. They can't get over the hump against Pittsburgh, even with Ben looking like shit last year.
That's true.
They're gonna struggle again. The Browns are, as far as the Browns go, I could see them splitting. I also can see the Browns taking both games if they are willing to want to win.
Right.
And
that's true.
But it is Baltimore, so that's a toss up. They could either split or sweep. I had them splitting. I had them sweeping the Steelers. I just think they have more this year. And then I don't see them letting up off the Bengals anytime soon.
No, that's true too. And I think for me, with me having them split, and the reason why I said it too is, it's a little bit harder to beat the Ravens at home. And that'll be their last game before they have a bye week. And then they'll play the Ravens again coming back after that week of rest. And I think that's when they're recharged and ready to go. And to play them in Cleveland, after that bye week is going to be something special. So,
Chris, before we go, I hate to break this to you, but everybody's running a nickel. In some cases, they running a dime. But when Joe Woods' defense, I think you'll see a more exotic package of blitzes that he won't use them often, but I think he'll throw them out there just to let Lamar Jackson know we there. And I think the rest will be a zone. But that is a good observation.
Yeah, it is.
I got 12-5 for the Browns. I got 12-5 for the Browns. I got 13-4 for the Ravens, just because I felt like the schedule favored the Ravens a little bit more. But I felt like the Browns could still win the division if they at least take 1 of 2 from the Ravens and they sweep the Steelers and sweep the Bengals. And I had the Steelers at 11-6, and then the Bengals, they still struggling, so I gave them a 7-10.
For me, I had Cleveland win division at 13-4. I had the Ravens at 12-5. The Bengals, I gave them 8-9 if they can keep Burrow healthy. If they struggle to do that, then they got a 6-11 season coming. And then Pittsburgh I had 10-7. So we're like right there. We'll see what happens with that. It could go either way. It could be like you said, 11-5. I could see that happening too, for sure. So I don't know, man. I think part of it too is a lot of our teams have the Jaguars on their schedule too. You know, that, I hate to say it, but like it's just not. They're not going to be in a position to do anything against our division this year. It's just not going to happen. I do want to point out though, the Bengals. Their one primetime game is against the Jaguars in Cincinnati. In Cincinnati, by the way.
Why would you get into a primetime game?
Look, man, this is where I kind of felt weird about it, right? Because you gave them one primetime game, you gave it to them against the Jacksonville Jaguars in Cincinnati. Okay, who's gonna watch that game on a Thursday night? I don't know, but it's there. Okay, so you got that. They gave the Ravens 5 primetime games. The Browns got 3, and Pittsburgh got 4. So
the
we'll
Browns
see
got
how that
3. The Browns have 3 and 2 possibles because I know. I know they got a 420. Yeah, they got matinees, and I know the Packers game is a Christmas game that could be flexed because most of these, because I think it's after week 6 or 7, they start flexing games depending on what's the bigger draw.
That's true.
So I know the Packers game was a matinee, and I know the Chiefs game is a matinee, but that's early in the season, so we're not gonna count that one. But that could also turn into a possible night game. So we'll see.
Because right now the only night games is Denver, Baltimore, and then Pittsburgh. And like you said, that one later in the season, I feel like if Rodgers is still there, that'll be a night game. If he's not there, they're not gonna do that. They'll be like, no, we cool.
I mean,
like
Fox might be home. That looks like a Fox game anyway, so it could be possible. But
yeah, it's true.
All right. That is gonna wrap it up for this week's episode. We'd like to thank All American.
Yes, sir.
For being on the show.
No, I appreciate it, man. It's been, just amazing from the beginning. So I can only be honored to be on this show.
We appreciate you being on.
Yeah, thanks for blessing us, man.
Yes, please.
Yeah.
Don't forget, for our fans watching, don't forget to like and follow us on Facebook. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, the 216 Sports Network. And don't forget to check our written content out at 216sportsnetwork.com. Yes, we are on the internet now writing stuff. So it's out there. We out there right now making moves. We will probably not have a show next week as we are probably going to take the week off to reload and, decompress from our week. So we'll be probably back the week after, first weekend in June. But again, you will still see us on the internet writing and pushing articles out. So when you get a chance, get over there and check us out. So that being said, for 4th and 15, that's All American. That's Smooth. I'm Mel. Peace.
Peace.